From the Teddy Belanger Memorial Studio in Rome, New York, welcome into episode 110 of the Avetts and Beyond. My name's Todd Emanuele. Got Ryan Boyles right over to my right, you can say, if you're watching on the YouTube.
You can't see my hands unless I get in the right position. Okay.
We do that all the time where we disappear, but it's all good. Hey, this is exciting. We have a really special guest joining us today. He's a Grammy-nominated producer, mixer, engineer, multi-instrumentalist, known for his, I'm reading your bio, by the way, known for his work with SZA, Adele, Justin Bieber, Rihanna, the Avett Brothers, Neil Young, Bob Dylan, Kanye West, Post Malone, and countless others. I've heard of a few of those. It's a pretty good list. He also frequently works with music for picture, producing, recording, and mixing a growing number of film scores and soundtracks. We'll get into all of that. Dana Nielsen is here. Dana, thank you so much for coming out with us.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. Total treat. Thanks for having me.
Really awesome for you to take some time. You're out in LA, right? You're based in LA?
Yep.
Are you from LA or are you from Chicago?
From Chicago, yeah. And but my wife and I have been in LA for 25 years now. Before that, we went to college. We both grew up in Chicago suburbs and went to music school in New Orleans at Loyola, and then moved right to LA right after college.
Well, you're in the right place for what you do. That's for sure. With all those names that we mentioned that you've worked with, and an ever-growing list of names I'm sure that you work with, that's pretty cool. You've got some big names there. The Avett Brothers, of course, our show kind of is focused around the Avetts and Beyond.
Heck, yeah.
We'll talk about the Beyond too, but we've seen you in May It Last multiple times throughout that, working with Rick Rubin, and we'll get into all of that too. But I got to ask, you produced Seth's album, Feed, and was he inspired? I was doing research today. Was he inspired by Benny Sway? I gotta know that.
That's funny.
I found
certainly not.
Are you sure?
I mean, he knows of my Benny Sway alter ego for sure, and we had a lot of fun. But definitely, I'm sure that's not on his list of inspirations.
Well, maybe.
Well, here's my hope. My hope is when I want to see Seth perform Feed so bad. I don't know. Like he said in an interview recently that he didn't know if it would ever be the right timing or place or whatever to do that kind of thing, you know, especially with all his other responsibilities with the rest of the band and the day job. But maybe you can be the DJ, he can be the MC. Y'all can do an act. That'd be awesome.
That's cool. But your song "Millions" with your wife.
Yeah.
That is such a catchy song. I'm going to kick off the episode with that song.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Ryan, have you seen this?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh, I'll send it to you after. I should have sent it to you earlier.
I appreciate that.
Millions. Go look it up right now. It is a catchy song. That should be a big song.
I appreciate that. I agree. It's that was for anybody listening who's like, what the heck are they talking about?
Yeah, I know.
At me as my day job as a producer, mixer, engineer, I work with other artists, and I that's my passion, helping, using my musical background and ears and just love of music and all different styles of music. That's how I kind of found my way to the recording studio, because as a musician, it really saxophone is my main instrument, and
I was a saxophonist too.
Really? I mean, and I'm guessing we're probably of similar age. You grow up in the 80s and saxophone is like the star of the show. Almost, it's like, guitar solos, saxophone solos, I
say I was a saxophonist. I've told this story on the show before. I played for 2 weeks in fourth grade. My sister was a clarinet player. I wanted to just be able to pick up my saxophone and play.
Yeah.
She playing clarinet, it's the same basic thing. She picked up my saxophone and started playing. And me as a fourth grader went, I quit. I can't, I'm not doing this. She can just pick it up and play it. I want to do that. And I sadly never played it again.
Well, it's an amazing instrument, and it is hard to get, just like clarinet or other, any instrument. It's hard to get going, like if you're playing piano, that's maybe one of the only instruments that you can, and no disrespect to piano players who are incredible and everybody makes their instrument sound and sing a different way. But at least as if you're starting in 4th grade, you can hit a piano note and be like, bam, I just played a middle C and it sounds in tune and it's, but if you're playing like violin or a wind instrument or any other thing, it's like, oh, it sounds terrible for so long. But, so yeah, that's by the time I was in college, finishing college, like, saxophone was like, if you wanted to be playing jazz, which I love. I was a jazz major in school, so obviously I love that, but not really a place in popular music so much, which I also love. Nowadays it's coming back a bit, but anyway, all that to say, I'll circle back to Benny Sway, but any
more Benny Sway.
I'm a musician, and that's what helps me in my job working with other musicians. And sorry, my dog is going a little nutty. And I didn't want to, I wanted to release some music and didn't want to necessarily put it out under my own name because, just like I'm doing this one thing for other artists. I don't want to confuse folks or whatever. And it felt like a little bit of like secret, pseudonym sort of thing. And Carissa, my wife, also has a little like pseudonym, Roxy Jet. And so we've put out some music
so
like
good.
that. And
it's really cool.
Thanks.
Does she have other music out there too? Or
Yep. Yeah,
she's great.
We both have a couple of songs. There's more stuff in the wings, but it's really I'll tell you honestly, I started this I'm always writing songs and I never release them. I will sometimes share them with artists and have different songs that come out with other artists, but all that time working with Rick Rubin and meeting the Avetts and working with all these massive artists, when working with the independent artists in my own studio, and I'd finish mixing something or producing something, and they'd be like, "Okay, so Dana, what do we do now? What next?" And I'd be like, "I have no idea." That is not, like we send it off to mastering, and then that's somebody else deals with that. Labels deal with that. Passionate about just, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to see how independent artists release music and see that full circle through distribution, getting paid on the master, getting, all the different ways that you make a living as a independent artist or as a non-independent artist. It's the same rigmarole through a major label. So it was really, really cool and fun to make the videos that we made. And it really taught me a lot and brought a lot of new experience to my work with other independent musicians to help them along and show them, the next steps.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about
blow Benny Sway up. Blow Benny Sway up. We got to get that.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much.
Let's talk about let's then talk about the day job then of like how you help other artists, like you're saying. I mean, I got a twofold question here of like, how has it like a lot of the credits that I want to talk to you about tonight are around some of the artists I love so much. But I just want to start out by asking, like, how has you've been doing this over 25, you've been in LA for 25 years, you've been doing this a long time. So how has your engineer's job really shifted with like also doing the producing, or also maybe I also thought like you're in this incredible studio, I'm assuming in your house, and like how has just that industry evolved to where you're doing stuff in somebody else's studio versus your own, and remote work that's possible with technology now?
Yeah. I feel like in my mind, as you ask all those questions, the answers have always been with me. They've always been the same. What I mean by that is I've always had a home studio, even in college, not so much in high school, a little Porta studio, but as it's grown over the years, as we've moved to different houses around LA and stuff like that, it's changed, but I've always had like a professional home studio, and I've always done work out of that studio, even on those big fancy records. In fact, every mixing credit that I have has been done right here. I've never mixed in another studio. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so like all the Avett stuff is mixed right here. Smashing Pumpkins, SZA, like literally everything is even when I was getting my first big shot at mixing from Rick Rubin, it was a Neil Diamond album. And I did 2 of those albums. And the first of them was from my little like 5 by 5 foot tiny bedroom studio. And that was so exciting. That was like in, I don't know, 2006, 7, 6, maybe. And when Rick called on the next album, asked me to, would you be interested in mixing this new Neil Diamond album? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'd be thrilled. Do you have any particular studio you want me to work out of? And I'll never forget it. He said, just do it wherever you did the last one. And I'm taking that call, this video of it. Carissa was taking a video of me talking to Rick about this. And I'm looking around like, this shitty little bedroom, like, wow. And, kudos to him for so many reasons, but one of which is always like, nothing matters other than the song. And when it comes to the production, nothing matters other than the way that the product is finished. And it really is a liberating feeling and mantra that I've carried with me through everything. It's really exciting to know firsthand that hearing stuff, I remember we went to that Neil Diamond tour at Staples Center, which is the, giant arena here in LA. And we're sitting like, right up front, VIP or whatever. And before the show's starting, there's the mix of the album playing in Staples Center, like right from my little tiny bedroom studio, so
that's wild.
It's stuff people don't think of, like you're sitting there like blown away by that, and people just take it for granted. That's it's kind of sad in a way, but it's cool that there's those stories out there that we just don't know about.
Yeah. And these are the types of things that I really like to share with new up and coming or independent artists who work with me. Like I work with a lot of independent artists who hire me to do the work for them in terms of mixing, producing, engineering. But I also have an outlet, a community called Mix Protege, which is where I help other engineers, freelance engineers and mixers, as well as DIY artists who maybe can't afford to hire me to do it for them or are just passionate about learning it themselves. I love using stories like those to help boost their confidence in that you really can get world-class results from some pretty, what would be the word, like not typical situations or rooms, as long as you know your equipment and your ears. Of course, that's the wild variable. Right. But it's really cool. Speaking of technology, back to your question, I think it's been that way for a long time, that you can get amazing results if you know what you're doing in a bedroom.
It's sort of what I equate it to is like the old notion of like, the best camera is the one in your hand. There's that analogy of like, it's not about the features, if how well do you know how to use it?
Yeah, no, that's a perfect analogy. And I love photography, and any photographer knows that feeling too, when somebody, you take a picture and somebody will see it and they'll be like, whoa, that, especially like if you're holding a DSLR or something like that, or something bigger that looks fancy. Oh, that camera is so good, and you're like, I mean, it is a good camera, but you
You don't know how to use it.
Yeah. It's your eye, and it's your, that's kind of equates to your ears and how each of us hears things differently, and how you're able to have an imagined idea in your mind's ear, or for photography in your mind's eye, and to be able to manifest that or implement that into a real life tangible product.
So I know we want to talk about Avetts here. So before we do that though, I want you to, for the YouTube audience, since we're talking about studio and technology, you've got like multiple cameras. I want you to like pan around and show people what you're working with.
Sure. Okay, so here's like another angle. I'll have to be a little off mic to speak to this camera, but
that's okay. We can hear you.
This is where I will do mix demonstrations in Mix Protege. I do a lot of sort of teaching and stuff like that on the side, which I love, I'm passionate about. And so I'll kind of switch around. I have my screen layout, where I'll be in Pro Tools and showing folks what I'm doing behind the scenes.
And you got your little head in the corner there. Look at this.
Yeah. There's a little look at sort of amazing. walking through the studio. This video I just happened to have on hand because I was showing people that most of the work I do is on these tiny little Radio Shack speakers.
Hey, they don't make them like that anymore, do they?
No, I have several pairs. My main speakers are these giant ATCs, which I love.
They cost a little bit more than those Radio Shack ones.
They do. But it's another thing. Speaking of dispelling myths or boosting confidence in people with less equipment, is like, look, like these are great, and I love them to death. But honestly, like I start mixes on these and I finish them on these. But most of my work is on those little Radio Shack speakers.
That's awesome.
They're really, and they're pushed together in mono. They're off to the side, like, I don't know, 6 feet away from me. And it really gives you that, like, hearing it from another room. No low end, no top end, no stereo image. And you're really just hearing, is the song coming across? Can you hear the bass? Is every instrument represented? Like, if I don't hear an instrument in the mix over there on those speakers, it's not loud enough, And so then I end up turning that stuff up. A perfect example would be low end, when you need to hear what's the bass doing on your iPhone. You have to turn it up or get it louder or perceived to be louder. So I learned so much working on those crappy little speakers, and they're indispensable for me. And then I switch back over here and I go, oh, okay, well, I know it works on small speakers now. Now all I have to do is just, there's way too much low end over here. I just carve that off so that the balance, the excitement, the translation, everything is in there based on those little speakers.
So if those little speakers stop working, do you know how to fix them? Or because I don't think you could just go buy more of those. Right?
No, I don't, but I have bought multiple pairs.
Okay.
And I'm looking at another set, because I like to bring them when I'm going to be parked at a studio for a long time for an album, and I'm going to be doing lots of rough mixes. Like I say, everything I mix comes back here, but there's lots of mixes that happen during the recording process. And if I feel like I'm going to be parked at a studio for a long project, I always bring those. I set them up just like that, push together, other side of the room. And so I have some extras that I can travel with.
If any of our listeners out there have a set of those speakers sitting around, send them to Dana so he has more.
That's right. That's right.
Dress up later. No, I'm just kidding.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect.
So tell me, how did you start working with Rick Rubin? Like, how did that come about? Was it because of the Avetts?
No,
or it was before that.
Yeah, it was before that. Quite a while before that. I'd initially, it came initially through my dear friend and producer, engineer extraordinaire, John Hanlon. He's worked with Beach Boys, and most people know his work with Neil Young, and just an amazing engineer. And I met him when, I don't know, I'd probably been in LA for like 2 years or something like that. And I was working for a company called Westlake Audio at the time as a freelance product specialist. They would sell equipment. Westlake's an amazing, very famous recording studio, but they also have a sales group. And that's how I met a lot of people. When I first moved to LA, I provided a service to high-end salespeople of audio gear, where they could sell a big Pro Tools system or a new console or something to these incredible producers like John Hanlon, or film lots, scoring stages, all over, you can imagine in LA and Hollywood, there's just so many folks. So I would go to different people and help them installing things or providing additional training. In this case, I met John when he had bought his first like small Pro Tools. He's a real like tape gunslinger, just incredible engineer and producer and mixer. And so this was his like dipping his toe into the new world of digital recording. So anyway, fast forward from that, we developed a great relationship, and I was always just politely clamoring to help him be his assistant on some of these juicy projects that he was always involved in. I'd get calls from him kind of in a panic or frustration, Dana, I'm in the studio with so-and-so, and the Pro Tools is so stupid. Like I can't get it to blah, 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 And I had so many calls with him, and met so many other amazing folks who'd be like, okay, it's no big deal. Here's what we're going to do. And then, by the end of the call, he'd be like, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe, how did I ever do it without Pro Tools? This is so cool. And eventually, after, years of letting him know, like, boy, I would love to help you out. And can I come be your assistant on something? He called me out of the blue one day, and I was working in my studio at the time in Atwater, part of neighborhood of LA. Dana, you left me this message, if you could, I'm sure you're busy, and I'm sure it's not what you're used to getting paid, but I really need your help. I'm at Rick Rubin's home studio working on this Jayhawks album, and I can't handle this like on my own. I'm mixing live on multiple consoles, and there's like Pro Tools and tape, and if you could please find it in your heart to like come help me for like 3 or 4 days or something like that. And of course, I'm just like
twist my arm.
Yeah. So
honey, I gotta go.
Yeah. So like that, it took a long time thereafter before I was really like on that week, I had an amazing time, and I met Rick and his production coordinator at the time, Lindsay Chase, who was amazing. And she kind of kept tabs on me. After that session wrapped, Dana, do you do other, engineer, like second engineering, or would you be available if I needed some help, like cataloging the 2-inch reels around here?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
And it took a while. In fact, I actually gave up on reaching out to her. I'd call every, 2 months, 3 months, just like, hey, Lindsay, it's Dana, Nielsen again. You remember I was there with John Hanlon for Dana, Dana, I'm too, I remember you. I need help with that still. I'm too busy. Things are crazy. Call me back later. And it did that 3 or 4 times. And I kind of gave up, I don't want to, but a friend of mine who had worked with Lindsay encouraged me. This is probably a year after the Jayhawks thing. Oh, no. Like, you got to call her back. She's not giving you the cold shoulder. She is super busy. I gave it one more try, and that was it. And she started, she said, oh, forget about that. Don't worry about it. Are you available to start a Neil Diamond album with Greg Fiddleman tomorrow? Yeah. And that's what started it. And then it was just like decades of insane projects working with incredible.
Cool is that, though? Did you ever imagine, like, when you were young, doing what you're doing, or is it something you all just thought you were always going to do?
I mean, by the time I was in, when I was younger, like high school, junior high, grade school, I wanted to be an astronaut, and come full circle, I realized like, oh, this is my spaceship. Like,
exactly.
This computes, this makes sense.
Didn't we all? Yes.
Yes. I mean, yeah, heck yeah.
I really thought I had a shot until my 10th grade history teacher, who her son was pretty much, she said he was Tom Cruise because he actually flew Tomcats off aircraft carriers in the Gulf War. And that was right about the time I was in high school. And she said, oh yeah, they won't take you if you don't have perfect vision. And here I am with my spectacles. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess I don't have a shot.
I know. It's crazy. That's a huge, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. But yeah, by the time I realized in my junior or senior year of college, that studio bug and that opened up this whole idea of not just being a saxophone player, but using my musician ears to help other musicians in this spaceship of an environment called the recording studio. I absolutely knew that's what I wanted to be doing. And
you have like the coolest job in the world. It's like
I agree.
Job in the world.
No complaints, right?
No, I agree. It's just, it's amazing. I've been incredibly fortunate and to have such amazing teachers and mentors, and within that thankfulness, there's so much to be thankful for, like what specific projects those people were working on that I got to be a part of. And
now you get to pay it back, like with your you're paying it back, like mentoring other people and doing your thing. And it's like come full circle for you. So cool.
No, it's really, it's not lost on me for a second. I love it. And I feel like I'm the luckiest dude ever. And my wife is also, we're both, I call us like, freelance music gunslingers. Like neither of us has, had a steady normal job. We have a family, we have a house, and I'm always just like, this is crazy. Like, we're musicians in LA. Like,
you guys have an awesome life, though. It seems like
we do. It's really cool.
I want to rattle off some names here that are, before we talk about the Avetts a little bit more.
Yes, we have to talk about Feed.
There were so many artists and like the sessions that you engineered for them, or you've got multiple credits on several of these, but like bands that I love so much that I've seen live, like so many times, like so Linkin Park in particular.
Yeah.
And these are like a lot of these albums that are in your credits here for being a part of them are albums that were kind of like what I view as like times when they shifted, in a different direction, or in a, maybe they, it was not their first or second album. It was, a lot of times you can look at those albums as being not more of the same, I guess is the best way to put it. So I wonder if any of these, like with Rihanna or Adele or Weezer or even the Red Hot Chili Peppers album, like because those were in some way shifts for them, did that present any different challenge for your part of what you were doing with engineering?
No, because that's never really apparent until hindsight, usually, unless somebody really is coming out of the gate like, I want to do something. This is going to, Feed is a great example. That's something that's like, oh, this is different,
Right.
But usually it's the same as it ever was for the artist included, where I've wrote a bunch of songs that came out of me naturally. It's just what I'm doing and feeling, and based on what I'm inspired by at the moment. And let's make a, record, an album of these songs. And so there's, with few exception, there's really not, it's not really a different process. At least it doesn't feel different when you're in it, because it's always just about serving that song and the sort of germ of an idea that the artist has. And some of them are much more than germs, or little seeds. Like, Linkin Park is a great example where their demos, Weezer too, so many of the bands, it's what I always say, that one of my favorite parts of my job is hearing demos, like from artists, these amazing artists. And some of them are really phenomenal, where, imagine the difference between, we all think of a demo as like, this is like a iPhone recording of me playing acoustic guitar and singing this melody. Let's work together to make it like, in my mind, I want this to be a rock anthem. And you're like, okay, I can hear that. You got bar chords on your acoustic guitar and that melody is soaring, and you start to generate all these ideas of how you can make that sound like you think they want it to sound. But other people have these demos that are so immaculate and so figured out, arrangement wise, overdub wise, harmonies, parts, drum patterns, fills. Like, Linkin Park, they're amazing producers in their own right, amazing demos. Weezer have amazing demos. Slayer had incredible demos, where they're like, oh my gosh. And then you hear the finished album and it's like, yeah, like it's really, really neat to hear some of this stuff. So anyway, I don't know. It never feels different. I think maybe if I had to guess, to answer your question about sort of these albums that represent a shift for an artist, that might have more to do with Rick and why artists who are already established seek him out, at least historically, for something different. And I mean, I couldn't ask for a better.
That makes sense
teacher.
Because some of these albums are really, like, maybe a better way to put it than different. It's just they are new plateaus or new, like, it really are defining moments, for some of these artists, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So
like you think about Adele's art, anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of different, we have to talk about Thief.
Sure. Let's do it.
Trying to talk about Thief. Now,
I've been listening to it nonstop. By
me
the
too.
Way.
Oh,
I can't get enough of it.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting to hear.
You're the people that are just not saying nice things about it, and I can't stop listening to it. I absolutely love it. Now, you've been working with Seth for, I'm guessing, a long time on this whole project. How many years are we talking here? Because I know he started it like 9 years ago or something like that.
He did, yeah. And I probably learned about it I don't know, if I had to guess, maybe 3 years ago or maybe 4. And we're always working on lots of different things. And so that one at some point became, okay, it's time. Let's dive into this thing and
make it real.
yeah. I'm really thrilled to hear that you're into it, and I do see I'll say like a couple of things, talking about, like, negative comments or things like that. I see that stuff on Instagram and I don't see it on YouTube. And I feel like
I've noticed too.
The fans who want to hear the music go and hear the full thing, and have a much more, they're more interested already, as opposed to maybe a passerby or more casual fan that just sees. What it tells me is that, the folks on Instagram as an entry point, are seeing a 15-30 second thing and they're out of context and surprised and angry about life in general.
They've got other issues.
They do. I'm encouraged though by those who do seek it out and are curious and watch a whole video, that just on the platform alone, it's like, okay, cool. People who are looking for it and finding it, it resonates. And that goes with my feeling from the start. because Seth and I both love hip hop. We're very close in age and have a lot of the same influences. But it's obviously, it's a different look. And, I just thought, starting the project, I thought, well, I love Seth. I love the Avetts, and I'm all like, let's go. Like this is a real, people are going to talk about this and who knows what they'll think.
Well,
and
I think the more you spend time with it, the more sort of layers of the onion I think you're peeling back, because the lyrics are they're dense, but then there's a lot of layers. There's a lot of things going on. And then each track for me has such a unique and sort of different sound as well, right?
Yeah.
So there's so much going on that, like, the more and more I listen, the more and more I'm getting into it.
Oh, I love it. And when it was done, and I was kind of talking again with, with my wife, or, I guess, the only other people who knew about it, like their manager, and I thought, my feeling about it is like, who knows what people are going to think, but people who love Seth and love the Avetts, all of that is there. The lyrics are incredible.
I love how it's a letter to his son, basically.
Yeah, yes.
And his son is intertwined throughout the whole album.
Totally. It's so like the things that we love about the Avett brothers, and Seth, they're all there. The genuine connection, the thoughtfulness, it's just a different genre.
There's also like an emotional, like there's the son thread, and the like father and son, even like, he references Jim so much and just his own upbringing. Yeah. But then there's I can tell there's this tension with Seth, and it becomes really obvious in this album where he's got this tug of war going on in his heart and in his brain of like wanting to do stuff, but then almost like being frustrated with the world, but then going back to his center of like, everything's going to be okay because I have my faith. And it's a lot. There's a lot more under the sort of surface with like his faith and everything too.
Yeah, there really is.
Let me ask this now. Putting this together, obviously he put his heart and soul into this for a very long time. Was he ever nervous about putting it out, thinking that there would be people that didn't like it? Or I'm guessing probably not, because
no. I mean, I'm sure there's an awareness, but not a care necessarily. Right. And I've noticed that with Scott, and me too. I've noticed that with Scott and Seth a lot in the best way, where I'll try to think of a couple examples, where maybe trying, they're never interested in like trying to release a song at a specific date because it's going to be meaningful or impactful based on current events or something like that. They're always like, no, that there's no need to rush this, or like, I know I'm being a little vague. I'm trying to think of, here's another great example that I love. I love this story about them. When we were working on, I think it was True Sadness. And we were kind of near the end of the album. We were doing the overdubs in Winston-Salem, and Dolph, their manager, came in one day. We'd just gotten to the studio. He said, Dana, there's we had this opportunity for a sync on such and such song. Maybe it was like Fisher Road or something like that. And do we have an instrumental of that? And I said, no, and we don't. And it was all recorded live together. There's vocal bleed in the guitars and guitar bleed in the vocals or whatever. And I said, but one thing we've done before, not with Avetts, but with other artists, when this is a thing, you've got a live performance with bleed, you need to make an instrumental for a sync opportunity or something like that. Or maybe it's like, for film. I could have them, we're all set up for this anyway. They could go out there and like, I'll play them the Fisher Road, record into their ears. They can play along, copy their style, the tempo will match up and whatever. And then we'll essentially get, using that framework, we'll get an instrumental that works. And he was like, oh, okay, interesting. And so then, Scott and Seth came in the studio and he's like, Dana, tell them what's this idea of trying to get this instrumental or whatever. And I said, well, because of the bleed and this and that, what we'll have to do is recreate it, and it'll be really easy. It'll go like this. And they're both like, nah. And I was like, to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know what it was for, but we're talking about, DIY, music industry stuff, like syncs are like the thing that can really help pay off an album's expenses or whatever. And I just loved and will never forget, that they were both just like, nah, we don't want to do that. And I'm like, it won't take long. We could, even if we do it and then you decide it's not good enough or whatever, they're like, it's just this, that's the song. That's the performance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an interest in recreating it for some opportunity or whatever. And I was just like, just another one of those times I'm like, you guys are freaking awesome. So, yeah.
I wish we had more time. We have more time still, but I'm just saying this is going so fast. I have so much I want to get to. But I have to ask you this. Tim Mossberger, the archivist for the Avett Brothers, he sent me this question to ask you. And we're kind of talking about Scott and Seth in the studio right now. He said, can you give an example of how Scott and Seth differ in the studio? I thought that was a good question.
It might be a tricky question.
Yeah, tricky question from Tim.
They're very, they're very, nothing strikes me as an obvious answer. I mean, they're both incredible people and incredible writers and performers. And yeah, they have, a different personalities and things like that. But I don't know. They
do seem to feed off each other. If like the small, peak inside the process that we've all seen is the documentary that Judd Apatow and made, but and Michael Bonfiglio. But and so when you see that, they were really, that process, it seems like they were really, like you said, different, but they almost like feed off of each other to make things, right? Yeah,
they're really, they're family, and they're, you can tell like they're brothers. They have a lingo and a familial language. They don't have to say much because they know so much intrinsically between the two of them, but ideas or taste or so yeah, I wish I had a more interesting answer for Tim.
Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, but no,
as Rick said in the film, right? Rick said in the film also that it was one of the rare instances he could think of where brothers were so simpatico with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. They're really special. That whole Avett band and crew and team. I
have the perfect banner for this moment, by the way.
Nice. I love it.
Magic is real.
I love it. I remember when I first got involved with them, when Rick asked me to come start these sessions. Like that's literally in the film when they arrive, like that's literally, I'd never met them before.
Oh, wow.
I did actually work, my dear friend and super talented producer, mixer, engineer, Ryan Hewitt, worked on their previous albums with Rick. And I did work with him on some of that stuff. I think I have some like editing or additional engineering or something like that, but I had never met them before. And in preparation, let's see, I must have been talking with I can't remember who was telling me, someone from their camp. I was trying to get an idea of like instrumentation, what to be ready for in the studio, who's coming, what instruments are they playing. This is all kind of like stuff that I'll do in preparation for a session. And as we're wrapping up this call, the person said, you're going to have a lot of fun, Dana. They're really great, really, really sweet folks. And it's like kind of an amazing family. And cynically, from my experience in the studio over and over again, especially like to your point with families or siblings or whatever, I was kind of like, yeah, we'll see about that.
You're like, you'll believe it when you see it. Okay.
Yeah. But oh my gosh, I couldn't have been truer. And, as is evident in May It Last as well. I often will recommend that to people who aren't familiar with them.
Were you, so I guess you did some of that in Malibu, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then some of that in Asheville as well?
I wasn't involved in the Asheville part.
Okay.
And so, yeah,
you were
like
stuck in a trailer in Malibu, weren't you?
yeah, no, that's, it's not a trailer, but the studio there, Shangri-La.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I remember after that film came out, I had no idea of any of those Asheville sessions.
Okay.
So that was really cool to see that. And then when it switches, halfway through or whenever it is in the film to Malibu, it's like, oh yeah, there we are. Like that was my introduction to them. And yeah. And Michael Bonfiglio and Judd and their whole team, my amazing, the whole crew. Whenever we start a session and they're like, there's going to be a film crew here, I'm always like, oh God, no. It just adds so much more complication and people and, hey, can I get a feed from the console? And can we turn off all these lights? And then it'll introduce a bunch of buzzing and stuff like that. But they were the best crew I have ever worked with. Just totally, Jonathan Formansky was the cinematographer, DP, and they were flies on the wall in the, I'm not going to say literal sense, but in the best sense, just in the shadows, not noticeable, out there on the floor for those performances, crouched down, natural light. Like it was my first time and maybe only time in the studio where I'm like, whoa, this film crew, anytime you want, like this team is amazing. They stay out of our way. They're silent. They're sweet and fun outside of the studio. And so that was really cool.
That is very cool. Okay. So we are rapidly running out of time. I have to ask quickly about the whole Mike Patton project.
Yeah.
Producing that album. I know you can't talk a lot about it right now. The single is out. The music video dropped today.
Right. I saw that.
Now you had nothing to do with the video, right?
Nope. Okay. That was as surprising to me as it was to you guys. Yeah. I watched it right away.
Quickly, as much as you can about this project, it's a huge deal for Faith No More fans that want Mike Patton to do another Faith No More album. And I know when you were young, you were a big Faith No More fan, right?
Totally. Huge Mike Patton fan my whole life. And it's one of the things that, Scott and Seth and I have always connected on. I remember this was also during True Sadness. We did some overdubs in New York at Avatar, which is now part of Berkeley, but very famous studio. And we're there and you guys know the brothers, they're constantly like shape shifting, whether it's hair, facial hair, whatever. And so I arrived there and Seth, he had like a mustache and like slicked back hair. And I was like, oh, Seth, you're looking very Mike Patton today. And he was like, oh, I love Mike Patton. And I was like, you do? I love Mike. And then Scott's like, oh yeah, we're big Mike Patton fans. I was like, no way, which me not knowing their, older, more rock music and stuff like that. And Tim actually sent me some of that that I hadn't heard yet
Nice.
that I listened to today. But that set off, a great thread between the three of us just like, oh my gosh, yeah, this album, that album, this is so cool and that's so cool. And
did you ever think you'd all be working together though?
No,
I mean, that's insane.
No. Yeah, it's something that's been Scott's been really working on for, and I'd hear, over the years, like, hey, what's going on? Like, what do you, I remember when he mentioned to me, like, man, I got in touch with Mike and, we're talking, and I'd be like, what? And just like I would do with, my friend John Hanlon, who brought me into Rick's world, like, dude, you gotta let me be a part of this, and he'd be like, yeah, I know.
You're all like high school kids again,
Absolutely. And so, man, when that, really became official and I started getting the songs. I mean, I'll never forget when, Scott, of course, like I say, over the years, I've known about, this potential, but then when it became real and he's like, so I've been sending stuff to Mike and he's got some things he's sending back, and can you, start working on it? And I'm just like, yes. It was so fun. And, being on text with Mike and everything, like the stuff that goes back and forth and talking to him about, all kinds of stuff. It's just thrilling and just such a amazing artist and sweet and hilarious dude. And
cool.
It's been so cool. So
we got the first song and we've all heard the first song, which I like. It's good. Yeah. It's really good. Can you tease anything else about the rest of the album? Like, are we in for surprises? Is it going to be similar sounding? You can't tell us anything.
I can't, but it's awesome.
That works.
Yeah.
That's enough for me, honestly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And there's, it's just such a, like, Mike has such a amazing palette, and whether it's vocally and or all the cool elements of production, and it's exactly what I wanted as a fan, like
that's great.
Getting these sessions. Like, I know Scott and Seth so well, and what they do in the studio, in their own home studios, it's acoustic instruments and vocals and stuff like that. So to get these wild tracks from Mike was just such a exciting treasure trove of crazy sounds and textures, and it really was a lot of fun to dive into, and a real honor to be like allowed that opportunity to kind of pull.
I just want to tell you too, by the way, that I feel like for Avett, for us in the Avett world, I feel like this has been like an embarrassment of riches, right? And just because between the work that you did on the self-titled album was mind-blowing for me, and so many people that and then now we have Feith, now we have the Mike Patton thing. Like, it's like, what's next? It's been like a smorgasbord for
yeah. It's
true. Gotta be a live album coming at some point, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, that's a great point.
Man.
I would love that.
Yeah, they are so prolific and talented, and they just always have songs, great songs, and it's really wild because they'll send stuff, whether it's Avetts or other and it's just like, where does this all come from? And yeah, right now it's I'm as surprised as you all are. I've been working on these albums concurrently, like all together. I'm always working on like 5 or 6 different albums at the same time, and these have been on the plate for a long time. delightfully so.
Yeah.
I did not expect them to pop out at the same time. It's wild. Yeah.
So will there be more singles released before
I
the
don't
album
know.
comes out in November? You don't know?
No, I don't. And this goes back to like, so Dana, what do we do next? I'm like, I don't know. This is one of those projects where it's out of my, I'm not doing the, distribution or the plan, the scheduling or the rollout or anything like that. So I often will ask those same questions or be surprised on a day when something's out,
Are you working on another Avett album as we speak?
Always. I think the right answer is always. There's always something percolating.
No, I mean, I can't really mention anything,
right, of course,
about that. There's, no, I don't know. But they're always making stuff, and I'm very happy to be, a relied upon source for like, hey, we need this, hey, we need that, like got this coming up, or they're always making amazing stuff.
We got less than 3 minutes. I got to get into some rapid fire questions with you. I
Sure.
always do rapid fire questions. So here you go. Favorite celebrity you've ever worked with?
Oh boy.
Oh man.
What is up with the gotcha questions tonight, Todd? Come on.
You can pass if you want. Pass.
I don't know. I'll say, interestingly, one that like stunned me the most was Will Ferrell. I've worked with Will Ferrell many times, and maybe it's because he's on.
So, is that film like Anchorman 2? That stuff?
Anchorman 2 and Casa de Mi Padre. And,
yeah.
Did you get to hang out with him too, or
that is mind blowing?
Really, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's so cool, and his son I've become friends with too. Magnus is an incredible artist
all the time.
He's killer.
Deep dish or New York style pizza?
Well, I'm from Chicago, but people go nuts about that question. I love pizza. I love all of it.
That's a good answer. I like that. I agree with you.
No bad pizza.
No bad pizza. Yeah.
Favorite movie of all time? May it last, of course.
May it last. I don't know what popped into my mind. I can't solidly stamp this on my tombstone, but I've been thinking about The Mission a lot lately, which has always been a favorite of mine with Jeremy Irons.
Yeah.
And an incredible soundtrack by Ennio Morricone, who actually is another thread of. I know Mike Patton is a big fan as well.
Can I throw one in here, Todd, real quick?
Very quick.
Favorite concert that you've seen in the last couple of years, or you've been to?
That's a great question. Well, it would have to be Avett Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's the right answer.
That is the right answer. It always is. Yeah, their show at the Greek was.
Well, amazing. No, I saw Linkin Park and Nine Inch Nails this year, and they're both.
Oh, that's awesome.
Amazing. Okay, Todd, back to you.
All right. Which album can you listen to all the way through on repeat and never get sick of?
Ray Charles Atlantic box set.
Nice. Favorite late night snack?
Lately, apple and peanut butter. I know that's boring.
That's okay, though. That's good.
Yeah.
And last but not least, because we are out of time, and this is not an easy question, probably. All-time favorite song or track that you've recorded or mixed?
That is very tough, but I think I have to easily hand it to No Hard Feelings.
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
I knew
there we go.
when that was going down, I just had chills the whole time and knew that this was something extremely special, musically, lyrically.
Yeah.
We could have a whole part 2 episode on talking about May It Last and all this other Avett stuff that I didn't get to today. I knew this was going to happen, but awesome stuff.
So fun.
Dana Nielsen, you are the man. We appreciate you coming on. This was a lot of fun. An honor to have a Grammy nominated. Why haven't you won a Grammy yet? Can we talk about that?
Make some calls.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly worked on a lot of Grammy winning albums, but in terms of personal nominations,
We'll get you. We'll get you more at some point here.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
That's
Dana
more
Nielsen.
nominations than you or I, Todd. Come on.
We'll never have one. DanaNielsen.com.
Yeah.
You want to throw out any of your other social medias? People can go check out your stuff.
Sure. Yeah. If you're a independent artist or an engineer person, mixprotege.com is where I kind of do my tutorials and teaching and stuff like that.
That's awesome. I love that.
My Instagram, I'm probably on Instagram the most, and my handle is D'Onofrio. Dana, it looks like Dana Frio.
I was enjoying your Instagram last night, and I may have seen a video of you wearing your wife's clothes, dancing around, twerking. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to see this right now, but okay.
That was for Millions, actually. I mean, not officially so, but
of course,
she had bought that skin tight money suit and decided that it wasn't going to work for her. And that video was never to be public. But
so you're like, you can't let it go to waste, though, right?
No, I just I didn't tell my wife or daughter that I was doing this, and
that's the best.
I put it on and I stuck my gut out, which isn't hard to do. Yep. And just started dancing to the song, and they just died laughing and dared me to put it on social media. And I was like, watch me, I'll do it.
Benny Sway strikes again. Gotta love it. I love that song, Millions. That's so good.
I love that. Thank you. Yeah. If you I guess on Benny Sway on YouTube, yeah, you can find, or Tidal or Spotify or whatever. It's BENISWAY.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a nod to Venice Way, which is a street around here. So,
well, you are a super talented guy. We really appreciate you coming on. I hope you'll come back someday, because there's so much more we could talk about, and I'd love to have you back sometime.
Yeah, this was a total
run into you down the road somewhere too.
Yeah, this is such a treat. Thank you. You guys are awesome, and I too, I could talk with you guys for a whole other hour or whatever. So yeah, we'll keep in touch.
All right.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Dana.
Thank you, guys.